Hey, who wants to see garbage? Smackdown. Go home show for Clash of Champions. And if this isn't the last straw over the expanded brand split that has been reported constantly, that we will do a recent draft later over the holiday season. That's probably over some renewal over fan attendance returning in the future episodes. Then I don't know what will. Because SmackDown was terrible. Over the semblance of making me be that concerned over the drama over two family members that have the most accomplishments in the company, made a whole lot of money over, you know, Roman literally being in a Fast and Furious spin-off film, and the drama going over feeding family, while somehow Jey Uso would think by now, because he's getting pushed, he would go over a twin complex. I have a brother as well, and we also have similar details and looks. But other than that, we're not twins. There's distinct, uh, you know, parts of us that are different. It's dumb. It's dumb. And I understand the difficulty in this, but it's so dumb. We also opened up with an interview over the Intercontinental Championship because it's going to be in a ladder match, dynamically to make it unique. Everybody has to be near a ladder. With of course Corey Graves interviewing them over how they're going to be facing off against Sami Zayn, AJ Styles calling over it being a neckbeard, and him displaying that he's made the Intercontinental title prestigious, even though he probably held it for like 2 months, like a month at a point, feuded with Jeff Hardy and lost it on SmackDown. The prestige of the Intercontinental Championship, and ever since Miz won it, everybody wants to say that they put up prestige of being Intercontinental Championship. Stop it. I want to like alternate the point of why in the hell as well. Adam Pearce, what is his position in WWE? They don't want to alternate him as GM, commissioner, or president. I had an issue with this over the past several episodes, and they just have him commit through the matches, and yet it was scheduled that Jeff Hardy and AJ Styles would face off before the pay per view, but then they just put up that Sami Zayn is not part of the triple threat because he came jumping them after uh, Jeff and AJ said that you aren't shit and you were a paper champion. You were holding this because you want to be relevant. With his neck beard ass doing some big boots and a haluva kick, they ended up a triple threat match. The match ended up with Styles doing majority of the punishment until we went into with a springboard with, of course, a phenomenal forearm. And then Sami Zayn came out of nowhere to take the clear pin so he can get some semblance of, oh, I can win. I have a chance to win. I'm just not that enamored in the match that they're about to have on pay per view. I'm really not. I don't. We tease up to the factoid that some blonde chick is coming to SmackDown. Haven't you forgot that we have less superstars on SmackDown than ever now? It's either you call up some guys from NXT or you just get rid of the brand split at this point. Elias is kayfabe hurt. Probably he's already hurt. Naomi's irrelevant and she sucks. Dana Brooks sucks. Lacey Evans, they don't know what to do with. They're probably going to give Nikki Cross either an irrelevant championship win because how many times she jobs out to Bayley, or make her lose again to make her feel like she has no importance of being in the women's division. Alexa Bliss just to be the F buddy of the Fiend. Like, it's already like a lack of prestige that the SmackDown Women's title has been, and why in the hell is still even in existence if they're not doing that many good things with the belt. So next up, we had a promo over the true role model over what her actions against Sasha Banks, and then uh, addressing that Nikki Cross is still her contender for the women's title come Sunday, and she goes over most of her resume against her, reference what she did to Sasha, and said, "What do you think I would do to Nikki? Probably the same thing, dirty roll up, some crap. Probably Sasha comes to interfere." It's just predictable at a sense over her neck injury. I'm using quotations. Yeah, I'm I want to be compelled of this long-standing rivalry that I think dragged it over, bringing some drama over the fact that Bailey just doesn't trust her. Bailey has the captivation to make a WCW 2000 promo, and if you agree, you know I'm right. It it's just like she's like learning from EC3 over the semblance of charisma. I was like, you think I wanted to do that to Sasha? Yeah. It's like, come on, man. You know damn well she doesn't feel comfortable being a heel, and over this BS of her feeling like she, since being on the Thunderdome, since being in the practice center, trying to like build up her heelish persona, feels a bit more comfortable. It doesn't work. You know why? Because you don't generate heat, especially if nobody's there to actually entirely react to it. And her character is just so generic. It's just that Bailey's heel and she's role model, and Britt Baker's a better one. She has that overzealous character of privilege. She's a dentist. She always blow that off in your face, and she has the ability to make sure that you never like being in the ring with her. She does like a face buster, and then she uses roll ups. That's like a heel jobber. She's been holding that SmackDown Women's title for over 200 days now. Come on. And I suspect some detail over her promo with Nikki Cross. It's not going to portray a great match. This is literally one of the better promos she'd made, and that's so bad. It's so bad, and people want to like listen. I'm all about trying to make a persona for you to get over, and obviously people were done with the hugging crap that you have forced yourself to think that, because it was like popular with NXT fans that are like a few thousand people. I mean, this is going to be a mainstream over thing when a predominantly sourced, demographic where you're still hitting like adults. So obviously that wouldn't be over. Then we had Grand Metalik versus Shinsuke Nakamura, and even though the match was okay, guess who still ended up losing and looking weak? I don't remember the last time Lucha House Party even won a match. They come around arguing and miscommunication, Kalisto costing them matches, and is the same thing happened when Grand Metalik was distracted over them arguing over ringside when he was facing up against Cesaro. I think we had a springboard splash, that slingshot below the bottom German suplex Nakamura did, a Kinshasa to the back of the head, and then he did an exploder suplex and did another Kinshasa. It's like, what semblance is this looking strong? They're just lucha jobbers. On the semblance that they try to force them to be one of the upper mid cards. They force them to have their own like Freebirds type match. They force them into a dumb, serious feud with Laura Sullivan, and then you overly push them because they have nobody in the tag division. And they want to people want to strip this as like a punch to the overzealous tag division on AEW. Like, why are you concerned about that in the first place if that's not building up higher numbers? And uh, it's just boring. It's just more boring because you know what's gonna happen because Nakamura and Cesaro are more taken legitimately over this lower tier tag, and somehow this is just sad because you guys can't take it any semblance of different opinion. That's why Forgotten Sons are gone. Somehow Jimmy Uso gotta sit down for a while, and the New Day already had too much championship reigns, in my opinion, and they're not, and they haven't been over since 2015. And people want to suspect that we need a draft, even if we had the Street Profits or a bigger tag division. What is that supposed to benefit? I thought like the Street Profits and Nakamura and Cesaro were supposed to have a title unification match, but they just had an exhibition match for the bragging rights of absolutely nothing. It made no sense, and it just wasted our time if they were gonna do such a clean finish. And it was like, why don't you build this up with the pay per view for a title unification? Things like we had like 5 teams already break up, and heavy machinery, but just busy over getting a freaking lawsuit revolving around the freaking Money in the Bank briefcase. And it made no sense because later on just ended up with, well, we can't hurt The Miz, but we can hurt Morrison. So probably on kickoff it'll be Otis versus John Morrison. Or they'll do some more hijinks ensuing in that. And why is he Money in the Bank to begin with, other than the fact that when there were still crowds, he was getting over because he was chasing Mandy Rose. Mission accomplished, and they still pushed him. I had complaints about this back in June of the pay-per-view. It's like, it's fine to give him a short reign with the IC championship because it did its job. You saw the journey, and it's nice. And you give him a simple belt, a nice, fun character like Otis, and then you just overly push him to hold the biggest ticket to winning the world title. This overstuffed autistic Oompa Loompa should not be holding something so important, and then have a feud with lower tier jobbers that haven't been relevant in a couple months now. Morrison should be up in the upper mid card right now, feuding for the IC title, at least having like teases for the World Championship. And I guess they're starting to do this, but they're doing this in such a lower tier matter that they're making a guy like The Miz the main event at WrestleMania. And then Morrison, that used to be like at least a major favorite for the world title a couple of years back when he still had a contract. Feel like jokes. The same thing happened when they feuded with Braun Strowman playing these BS pranks. What's the point of still making them a group if obviously they continue being unsuccessful? Next up, we had King Corbin versus Matt Riddle. And Corbin won clean. And Corbin just made like parodied his bro promo over why does it say bro? It's like, what for envy and for pain and for I don't care. Shut up, why are they still wrestling after they just had a pay per view match? Don't you think that would be a decent conclusion? What's the benefactor or the story between these guys still fighting? Other than Corbin, you're a jerk. And then he said losing sucks at the end of it. Bicycle knee counter into the bro mission, a deep six. It ends off a shocker end of days for the win. At this point, why even try to build up over the factoid that Matt Riddle is like your top of the line guy if he's getting beaten clean by supposed to be a chicken shit heel over dirty tactics with a king complex out of Corbin? That it's like been past August, and that was when they did the King of the Ring tournament, and I was excited for that because you get to push a future star. Probably Samoa Joe thinks he's a major favorite around the fans. I don't care which. At least Samoa Joe has semblance of a talking ability. I commend that of Joe, even though his look doesn't precede him of always being a main eventer, and I don't mind him being that grizzled veteran that can always be a perceived favorite because of the way he wrestles, and he can talk, so that's a positive. But his ass always gets injured. Cesaro, maybe? Or probably Corbin, but they already messed that up as soon as he went to Smackdown feuding with Roman Reigns. And that did not work well. And now here comes Riddle. Over his clean loss, he comes out saying losing sucks. Then leaves. Bro, I just learned something today, bro. Smoke weed on a freaking fast food restaurant looking ass. Coming around just acting like a bro, like a shown retard. At this point, I'd rather have Rob Van Dam come back. I'd rather Rob Van Dam come back. At least people already know his character. I mean, lack of somewhat, but At least people know his certain charm and charisma, and at least he has fun moves. Riddle's not a terrible wrestler, but I wish they just did more to like build him up over being like an unbeaten, lowbrow UFC fighter with a chip on the shoulder. Like, do something to make guys feel legitimate. You have like no build to make these guys feel legitimate. Like, let some of the NXT guys come. Like, didn't you have Austin Theory on Raw? And then you like, I'll do more on Retribution, but thanks to formerly now they're morally focused on Raw. I guess I'll do more of that because that's more relevant. Even though Retribution literally made its first appearance on SmackDown, so that definitely brung some sense of logic. I don't care. So Riddle just learned something new after losing to Corbin for the first time. And I don't think I haven't seen Corbin win anything clean in a minute. Next up, we had Alexa Bliss versus Lacey Evans for the benefit of what? And yeah, they had a match over some corners. The night it was brawling around some corners. Alexa Bliss was taking some punishment until she got wet as soon as she heard the Fiend's laugh, and then he was on the Titantron. She started going crazy and stomping and stomping and stomping, beating the crap out of her. And they were only wrestling because she called her out for being the Fiend's girlfriend or something like that when Nikki Cross was having a match against Lacey the last week on SmackDown. And she ended up winning off DQ. Then hits another sister Abigail. Then walks up. We also had annoying ass Jay Uso being like, "It's cool, we family, Oos. We family, Oos. Yo, get out of my locker room, please, Jay." That's how it felt. We also, after she literally walked off and then looked and staring at Roman Reigns after the Fiend, after because Roman beats the Fiend, so that brings some teasers of what's to come. At least it brings some semblance of drama. I don't care. Paul Heyman also addressed over Dre Uso's promo after calling out Roman Reigns over what happened last week. That the Chief would do it at his time, not Jey Uso's time. So at least shows how legitimate Roman Reigns is being over the influence of Paul Heyman. I didn't mind the vignette before, but they already did it. So I understand it was more of a semblance of a hype package, but it took like several weeks until we had some conflict with the cousins. Other than they tagged twice, and if you're ever doing a rivalry feud that's semblancing over, both of these guys cool with each other, let each other like tag once. That's my opinion on it. So Jay then got speared by Roman when I was getting addressed by my brother because I was doing something else, and Roman Reigns just and Jay was like coming out saying that like halfway through the show, giving the promo, and he was saying, "You know what people say to me, Ooze? I'm a which one?" Obviously, bringing up his twin complex he has with Jimmy, and it's like, am I supposed to sympathize with that? I mean, yeah, it happens before, but it's not like you guys have distinct accomplishments that make you guys different. I don't understand. And then Roman Reigns is like, this belt is for my family. This belt, like, this would be good if it was like Roman Reigns' first Universal Title reign, but he won it when a few hours ago until he had to say that he was diagnosed with leukemia again. Yeah, and he was already like a three-time WWE World Champion at this point, and it already makes no semblance of sense to the amount of popular success he got. So the struggle factor into Roman Reigns, like doing this for a selfless goal over a heel factor, it makes no sense. And he said he just put food on the table. So I was like, what? Where is that coming from now? So Yeah, Roman Reigns dropping like more drama on the table to make sure this match is more personal. And I understand what they're trying to do. I just feel like they're like forcing it down to her stomach. And if and I understand like it brings more semblance of regret over what Roman has to do to make sure he's still champion. I just eh, I'm just not that compelled over the last few weeks. And I understand this is a blow off point to bring some drama, but it just felt so forced. This show was just doing the same damn matches with no semblance of build. They just 50-50 Corbin and Riddle for no reason to establish him as anything. Corbin should just blow off his King gimmick if it's not doing anything for him. If he's just doing the same shit, he's having 50-50 matches and most of them are the same damn matches. He gets out the ring to go outside, do a clothesline when he gets back into the ring. A deep six, some punching kicks with no storytelling. And the the fact that I want to see a draft is not helping in the least. This roster sucks, and I hate to say that. There's obviously some great talent on some parts of it. I like the Hurt Business. I want to see Matt Riddle succeed. I don't like what they're doing with Samoa Joe. Dominic Mysterio needs to go on NXT or something more developmental. If he's going to be forceful in storylines, he has to do less wrestling. He really does. And just Jesus Christ, the Randy Orton and Drew feud just feels forceful at this point. That at this time, just give Randy the title or something. And Universal Championship, please change that belt. I've already been hearing teasers, and they need more legitimate stars on SmackDown. Because I already heard some addresses that Braun Strowman is technically not a Raw superstar. He's just there to boost the ratings over the Raw Underground hour slot. That's the third hour. And no one cares because you have no blockbuster stars. Thanks Lesnar's gone already. Goldberg's like in his 70s. I mean, I love Goldberg. You're just gonna die like you did back in your Saudi matches. Undertaker's dead. Cena doesn't want to deal with most of the jobbers that most of them he already beat. You guys try to develop stars and completely ruin them. It's just a joke. And I'm supposed to get ready for a pay-per-view that are some of the matches I already saw from Payback from SummerSlam. The hype factor over a Gold Rush named Clash of the Champions makes no sense. Clash of Champions. I apologize, but this was SmackDown. This was a mediocre mess. They haven't even tried hard enough to even like simplify anything. The only match I'm excited to watch is probably Jey Uso and the Intercontinental Championship. Anything else can jump a big one, and that's it coming from me.